I'd like to talk about how the body always communicates with us and how the body knows everything, what we don't even know, what we don't realize, what we don't even think about. And the body already knows. I would like to share 3 personal stories with you when my body really screamed, when my body really pushed me towards a decision. So, story number 1, and that was the first time that I actually realized that the body is much wiser than we think. So that was years ago, 6 years ago. I was in a long-term relationship that was after my divorce. There was a relationship after my divorce. My kids were still young, so we were together for I think 3 years, and then he moved in with his kids into my house. So between the two of us, we had 4 kids, 4 boys. And during COVID, they moved in just because it was easier and simpler. And that was a turning point, I guess, in our relationship. That was a lot of adjustment for me. That was a big adjustment. On one hand, I really wanted it. I really wanted that next step in our relationship. I knew that I would have to do some sacrifices, obviously. I knew that it's an adjustment. I knew that it's a new schedule. It's 3 extra people in my house. I knew all that, and I was excited. On the other hand, I guess I was doing too much compromise than I should have. So like I said, it was a big adjustment. We had to rearrange all the rooms. My kids lost their personal space. I lost my personal space. My routine got all mixed up. I guess I was really struggling with finding some quiet time, some me time, which is a big thing for me. It's very, very important. And I kept lying to myself that, okay, Irina, it's just a period of time. It's just an adjustment. It's just it's going to pass. It did not pass. It did not pass. And what started happening is that all of a sudden, I started having a low-grade fever. I was having a fever of 37.2, 37.5 every single day. That just became my new norm. For a year and a half, that was happening to me. And obviously, I did all the blood work. I had a trusted family doctor, the family doctor that I knew, personally. So he was really involved into trying to find the reason for that, because it was really affecting me. In Canada, this is not considered even a fever, so it wouldn't be a big thing. So it wasn't very alarming for the doctors. But for me, I really felt the difference in my lifestyle. It was really affecting my life, my state of mind, my state of being. It really affected me. I was more tired. I always felt like I was heating up. It was really uncomfortable. I felt sluggish. I really wanted to, stop it and understand. But there was no obvious reasons. All the tests were absolutely normal. And that's when I started realizing that there is more to it. My body is trying to tell me something, but I couldn't understand. Then eventually, we broke up for other reasons. At that point, we were already engaged, but there were several reasons why we shouldn't have been together. But there was one good reason for me to really make that decision and step out of the relationship. There was one thing that I couldn't compromise on, and we finally ended it. And you won't believe it. I think a couple of weeks or a week after he moved out, my fever just stopped. And that's when I realized the connection. At that point, I realized that this is what it was. And I started researching what that means, And there is a whole, it's called psychosomatic. Basically, it talks about an internal conflict, the connection between an internal conflict and the state of your body, your health. And I started researching, and low-grade fever means your boundaries are crossed. So that was a conflict of my personal boundaries. And that was really the case, you know? And look, not necessarily having the low-grade fever would mean that, okay, like this partner is not for me. Like, not necessarily. But that was just a sign for me that, look, it's not okay. Like, I'm just lying to myself that it's okay, I'm compromising, it's fine. No, that was a sign for me that it's not fine for me deep inside, and I'm just lying to myself. And that was my job, to hear my body out and really solve the problem. At least, like, you know, like vocalize, like make it work. It was not working the way it was going. So that was the first situation, and that was the first case when my body was just like screaming at me. And I started paying closer attention to it since then. The situation number 2. Pretty much at the same time, maybe like a year later, but like around that time, I started thinking about switching careers. So I used to be a photographer, and I just started thinking like, okay, I feel like I'm ready to retire from photography. What else could I do? And one of my good friends, she's a hairdresser, and at that time she's like, you should go into doing like hair treatments. She wanted to open her own hair salon, and she's like, you're gonna work for me, just like not haircuts, but just like hair treatments. It's a good money, it's a good opportunity for me. And I was thinking, I don't know, like I wasn't sure. But then I'm like, okay, like I remembered my childhood dream that, yeah, I wanted to be a hairdresser when I was a kid. And I was like, you know what? Okay, let's give it a try. And I went to take a 2-day course in hair treatments. And it was day 2 in the middle of my class. Basically, the day was not even done. Actually, no, let's reverse. I think on day 1, I was there. I was doing all that. And I'm like, nah, I don't think it's for me. Like, I'm not really enjoying it. Like, I wasn't sure. I wasn't certain. On day 2, my class wasn't even finished. And I couldn't finish it because all of a sudden, I just had a bladder infection straight away like that. Like, instant. All I wanted, like, I felt like my fever went up. Like I was having cramps, and like that certain sensations of the bladder infection. I barely finished the class. I went straight home. I went like in my bed. The day after, it was gone. And that was also a sign for me that you don't want it. That's not your thing. That's not your wish. That's not your goal. That's not your desire. No, you're just being influenced. And since then, the bladder infection has become for me a very good indicator of where I'm going wrong. Like that I'm going in the wrong direction. And it happened several times after that I do something that I don't like, that I don't want, but I just do it just because, to be a good girl, to please somebody, just because, I don't know, responsibilities, or just trying to play a good role of a girlfriend, like a partner, a friend. But every time I would really cross my own boundaries, and I would really go against me and betray myself and do something that I didn't want to do, bladder infection immediately. And the situation number 3. So I was in a different relationship, and I really wanted to have a 3rd child. I still do, but back then, like, it was kind of like very invasive thought. Like I really wanted to have a 3rd child, and I was, when I would start a relationship, I was really looking at every single potential partner as a potential father for my kids. And here I was in one of the relationships. I wasn't planning to have a kid yet. The relationship was like at the beginning. We were dating for like a few months, and I had an IUD, so I wasn't supposed to get pregnant. And then it kind of happened at the same time. So basically, I realized that no, this man is not for me, and we should probably go separate ways. And at the same time, I got pregnant, which I also didn't know about. How I knew? One day I woke up with terrible cramps in my belly. I had a very important event that I wanted to go to, so I meditated. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I don't understand. So I meditated. I removed the cramps. I went to my event, and after the event, I went straight to the hospital because I felt terrible. Like, it was crazy pain. They did a test. They ran a test on me, and they said, well, you're pregnant with an IUD. And that was an ectopic pregnancy. So obviously I had to go through an abortion, and very shortly after we definitely separated. But that was also, in this case, I was very grateful to my body, that, and I was amazed at the same time how it knew, I guess, before me. Like, when I was still doubting, my body was already certain that this is not my partner. And my body kind of even rejected the child. Although I really wanted to have another baby, But my body was stronger than my will, than my wish. So these three situations, and there's multiple others, but these three situations, they were so bright and vivid for me, eye-opening. And I know that all I need to do, all the answers, all the doubts, all the doubts are so unnecessary. Looking for an answer is so unnecessary. Wasting time to look for an answer or to look for a decision is so unnecessary, because the decision is already there. The body already knows, and you already know, had you known how to listen to it. So all you need to do basically is not to look for an answer, is not to try to come up with a solution or a decision. All you need to do is to actually turn your attention inwards and listen to your body, what it's telling you. And if you build a strong connection with the body, you don't need anybody else's advice anymore. You don't need to waste your time on anything else. Instantly it's for you or it's not. Is it your way or it's not? Should you do it or you shouldn't? And I'm a yoga teacher. I teach Tantra Hatha yoga, and this is a style of yoga where we are really focusing on our body and on our state, our inner state. We bring the focus from the outwards on the inside, and we're holding asanas for minimum a minute and a half, where the asana just becomes your meditation. And basically, when you are holding the asana, you have all the time in the world to really pay attention to the energy flow, to the thought process, what resistance you have, what thoughts you have, and without necessarily, grabbing onto the thoughts or following that resistance or following that inner sabotage. We're creating that, developing that witness mentality where we're just letting go of control and we're just watching what's happening in the mind and in the body. And you're just noticing, the slight difference before the asana, during the asana, after the asana. You just feel that energy flow and how it changes. And so when we step off the mat into the normal life, like every day-to-day life, we already have this habit of noticing. And so now in everyday life, when something happens, I instantly know in my body, I hear the signals, like whether it's good or not, whether my body is happy or not, you know. I can instantly get a knot in my stomach when something is really not aligned with me. I feel my heart rate going faster, you know, or I feel my body when it's absolutely comfortable in this or that surroundings and situation, stuff like that. So I'm it permits me to be more aligned with myself, with my path, with my life, and avoid going against me, going against my will, going betraying myself just to be, you know, just to be a good girl, a good person, to a good friend, to please people by crossing my own boundaries, you know. So it just helps me stay aligned with myself, with my values, with my self-love, with my respect to my own self, with my inner boundaries. I created the Life Alignment Circle for people who are not able to practice with me in person. You can practice with me online, whether it's a one-on-one session or join the Alignment Circle where I have recorded practices, and we're going to have weekly calls, discussions, practice together, meditate together, and work on the mindset, work on the state of well-being to be aligned with life. I hope this video helped, and I really hope that you got some insights, and you know, really hope that it made you maybe reflect on certain situations in your life when your body was speaking, or especially when something was happening that you couldn't really explain and you couldn't find a reason for it to happen, like a change in your body. And that could just be, you know, your own sabotage towards something you were doing when you were going against your own self. Share in the comments what you think. Share in the comments your experiences. I'll be really happy to have your feedback. And I hope to see you in my next videos. And I'm gonna go enjoy Port Playa in Valencia and this beautiful weather. Thank you for watching.